Lord, y'all, this was actually a good episode. I'm so excited. Yes, we are talking Ready to Love, season number 5, episode number 10, True Colors. Let's get it. Hi there, Simply Subbies. Welcome back to the Simply Stacy YouTube channel. It's your girl, Stacy. This is Christmas week, and we're getting into Ready to Love, episode number 10, True Colors. I believe a new episode comes on Friday, and it is where the men actually meet the family of the ladies. But this week, we are left at a cliffhanger. It starts back up. Remember, Cornelius and Naeem were in the bottom 2 after their vacation, somewhere up in Maryland or Virginia, wherever they were in the DMV area. But anyway, we didn't know who was going to go home, but Camille was giving us all these tears, so I already sensed that it was going to be Cornelius. Plus, as we all know, Cornelius has one connection. Naeem at least has Zadia as a connection. I guess he only had one connection too, now that I think about it. But let's see who it is. Okay, Camille is crying her day with Cornelius, and he's not ready to love. Basically, they get right to it at the first episode, and then she lets him know that, you know, you are it for me, so I'm gonna go too. So we get rid of a lady and a man on a man's elimination week. So 2 people are gone before the show can even get started real good. Zadia is basically talking to Naeem, and she's letting him know that he is still ready to love. He's excited that he is still in the running. And ready to love, and you know that he's one of her connections, and Dante was also one of her connections. They did not have so much of a connection last week while they were away, but we can see how this week turns out. Cornelius basically said that he was a little bit shocked by their decision to let him go, and if he had any regret, it would probably be that he wished he got to know some of the other ladies. So I'm like, it wasn't giving me and Camille, like I chose you or I would have chosen you at the end. He always was kind of on the fence as far as I'm concerned. Now to her, he probably seemed all in, and to the other women, he seemed all in. I think while he was only pursuing her, he wasn't necessarily all in, because he always had these little, oh, that's a red flag, or I'm trying to see. Like, he wasn't quite there. So he didn't say, oh, I'm so happy because, you know, it's just you and me anyway. He's basically like, we'll see where it goes, but I have regrets that I didn't get to know the other women. I'm like, so you actually have regrets about that? Yeah. But spoiler alert, y'all, as soon as this episode aired, they've already taken pictures, full naked bodies. No, just joking. He don't have no shirt on, she don't have no shirt or bra on, and they're like hugged up, all sensual. So I'm like, okay, you know, he's supposed to be a model or whatnot. But yeah, I was like, why did they pick that picture? Especially when they're all doing this practicing celibacy thing and all that stuff. I just don't know why that was the picture they decided to shoot and or choose. But hey, it is what it is. Maybe they were just getting their little modeling chops wet. But anyway, let's get back to this week's episode. Okay, so first up, there's Shyla. We're at Shyla's house. She is cooking. Phil is there with her. They kiss. They seem to have a really relaxed kind of vibe going on. And I'm like, okay, cool. I don't think we've actually really seen them go on a date one-on-one before. So it was really nice to see that. She has this game called Love Languages, and that they're playing, and basically she's kind of trying to help Phil to open up or encourage him to open up, and they do talk about that a little bit, and he was like, yeah, you got that way about yourself of doing that. It could be a little bit annoying. I was like, dang, Phil. I mean, he don't want to talk about his feelings, and you keep on trying to pull it out of him. He not feeling it, Shiloh. He's not feeling it. But anyway, he makes light of it and jokes a little bit. She basically lays her cards out on the table and was like, actually, you know, I want to just park here. I want to just go for you and see what can happen. So basically, I'm all in. He looks at her, he smiles, he gives her a kiss. She's basically like, the way he just didn't say anything back, you know, got me feeling away. And yeah, she kind of tried to call him out on it, but he still was like, I'm not going to just put all my eggs in your basket. I still have other connections, which right now he still has Sydney, who he went on his first date with, I think last week. Remember, I told y'all they vibe, or a week before last, before they got to vacation, but their vibe was just instantaneous to me. I saw that when him, Dante, Shyla, Carrie went on that date where they were working out. He did eventually come around and was like, okay, Shiloh is in my top, but I really wasn't seeing it, and I really didn't actually see it for her, for him, as much as, you know, he said it for her. But I think when he got with Sydney, it just was something just kind of, you know. Anyway, he told Shiloh he wasn't really about to, you know, do that. And yeah, he just didn't say anything back to her. He just gave her a kiss and kind of just moved on. I'm like, oh, he feel like he really on an episode of The Bachelor, The Bachelorette where they can't tell their feelings. Because he could have easily just said, you know, I really like you too. I am still pursuing a different connection, but I do really like you too. He just basically just didn't even say that. Okay, so Dante and Aisha, he says that he's really been feeling her since the retreat, but he does have some unfinished business with Zadia. So he actually wants to chat with her to discuss their relationship and see, you know, if he can move forward with Aisha. Talk to Zadia about some stuff that he didn't like that happened on the retreat. Remember, she was getting all catty with Aisha and just really causing a scene and being really childish. And so Dante actually told her that he didn't like it, and she wasn't really open to his feedback or him trying to like make her feel, not make her feel better, but make her, you know, kind of into a better person. She wasn't open to the criticism, and he did the same with Aisha, and she was, I guess. There is Frank and Moomin. They're on a date. They're walking around the national park. He got all these little history lessons for a child. Talking about some, this word, I have a dream speech was that Martin Luther King gave. And she's like, oh, he gonna be my history teacher. I'm like, y'all are so funny. I really don't see them together. I told you I have not been shipping anybody in this whole series at this point. But anyway, Frank and Moomin are talking. And he just says, you know, I still have feelings for Sydney. Basically, Moomin letting him know, like, me and Walter, we done. That's a wrap. I didn't like how you treated me on a retreat. I'm just all in with you. And again, here we go now. Frank is like, you know what? I do have a really strong connection with Sydney. I'm still pursuing the both of you. You know, but thank you. But what I appreciate about what he did as opposed to Phil, because Phil didn't say nothing. He did at least say, you know, that I do like you and I can see us being together, but I'm getting serious about figuring out which one works best for my life. And then he pulls out this golf ball, y'all. This golf ball. He said, remember our first day we went to this putt-putt golf, which they did with a double date with Dante and Sabrina, which at first Moomin was feeling Dante, but then Sabrina just, you know, moved her little cell phone in the picture. And so, yeah, she never really got to chat with Dante, so she just ended up with Frank. So I'm like, do y'all really even like each other, or did that just like kind of sort of happen? Then he talking about he extra sexual, she's celibate. I'm like, here we go again. Like, I just don't think it's a match, but if y'all want to keep playing this, then play that. Anyway, he takes out the golf ball. He has a date on it and her name, I believe. So he was like, that day meant something to me, so I kept this. This is actually from the putt-putt golf. You know, that made her feel good. I'm like, it was very thoughtful and stuff, but I didn't see that they made such a connection on that date that he would be saving this golf ball and all this stuff. So I'm like, did you go back and buy that? Or did you just, people been saying like her friends and other people's friends that he seemed kind of calculated. Like Sydney friend said that, I believe. Like he did seem kind of calculated. So I'm like, why would you even get that ball? That was y'all first time dating. It was a double date. And y'all had a little vibe, but it wasn't even nothing like that. So if you keep this just in case we're still here in the end, I'm going to give her this ball. I don't know, Frank. Maybe it was genuine. Maybe it wasn't. But he did say he want to move forward with her, but he still is, you know, making his decision. Next is Dante and Zadia. Remember, he wanted to, you know, talk to her about some things. So they meet on this like rooftop. It's a real nice little place. I'm like, okay, that's cute. She comes in. You could already tell her vibes are not very good. She said she doesn't know where he stands with Aisha, and she feels like he abandoned her. when they were at the retreat. He wasn't checking for her. But I don't know if y'all recall, if y'all watched last week's, when he got to the retreat, he went straight to her room. And he was like, oh, all the rooms are taken. And when I say she was giving him no kind of real good energy, it was just like, well, they on the other side of the house. It wasn't like, oh, well, let me show you. Or, hey, how was your drive up? Like, she wasn't checking for him. And he said in that moment, like, okay, it's not being reciprocated. So he did focus his attention on Aisha. So he probably did abandon her in that moment. But here's the thing. Sadia has always had Naeem as well. So you can't get mad at him for moving around, because this is exactly what you're doing. You're weighing your options, but now you don't want him to weigh his. Sadia, double standard, I see. Okay. So basically, basically you just need to have fun with your little, what did she call her? Have fun with your girl who, your long conversations and she ain't saying nothing or something. I'm like, oh, you being extra petty because Aisha's not even here. She's not even talking about you. Let this be about y'all not getting along and not about Aisha. He basically says, she's like, so what are you trying to tell me? He just comes out and said that I am feeling Aisha, which we already knew she was feeling Naeem, so I don't know why it's a problem. And Dante was feeling Shyla at some point too, so I don't see what the problem is. But her real thing is like, it came out of nowhere with Aisha, and I think she already had a problem with Aisha. I don't know why or where it's stemming from, because they haven't really revealed it, but they keep getting into it. And now Dante is in the mix, so you know it really just ain't working. So she gets up. She's like, okay, well, fine. You enjoy your girl with have fun with your girl who be having these long conversations and don't be saying nothing. And she leaves. So I'm like, whatever. He ordered him some food. His food come, whatever they had already ordered. He eating. And she just can't leave. She gets to the elevator. She turns back around. She comes back. Standing over Dante, talking to him like this, tapping his nose as she's talking. Like, I was about to choose your ass. However, whatever. Because, and he's like, first of all, he was so calm, cool, and collected in the moment. Because when I say, I don't think nobody else would have just sat there as she did that. I'm like, girl, you cannot put your hands on people. You're doing a little bit too much. And apparently you did like him because you real bothered by this situation. So Naeem probably was not your choice. And now he done took your choice from you, and now you mad about it. Because she just kept saying, I don't need to shrink. I don't need to shrink. Remember that conversation that her and Aisha had the time before? So I wonder if Dante was in the mix back then and we just weren't aware of it. But anyway, I did not like that. We here on the Simply Stacey channel do not condone violence or assault or what do they call it? Domestic violence. Zadia, I didn't like it. And I'm sure watching it, you feel a way about it and you don't condone that as well. You realize some things that you may need to change about yourself. So yeah, that was basically it. Dante was like, I can't believe she did all that. She ends up leaving. Next up is Walt and Sabrina. They're out on a date and he brings her flowers. She's like, oh, thank you for bringing me my favorite flowers, which are roses. And they were talking about the trip and how, like, it's just been natural with them and how he's like, you're basically an easy choice. Because, he overmoved. She got up and walked away from him when he was trying to talk to her. Sabrina's like, yeah, we're always matching. It's just real normal. Now, I don't think I've seen them on a one-on-one date either, but they've been checking for each other from the beginning as well. She does bring up again about her being a dancer in the past or a stripper, and he's like, I'm trying not to be judgmental. I don't know if he's gonna ever be able to get over this, honestly, but he's like, you know what, I want to move forward with you. And then Sabrina was basically just gonna call him out. Okay, Walter, well, I hear that you're saying that, but I really haven't heard from you much. You don't reach out. He's like, I was giving you space to decide what you don't want and what you do want. I'm like, okay, but he's like, but I hear you and I'm gonna do better or whatever. I'm like, okay, Walter, listen, I don't really believe you either, because you can't get past the fact that she told you she's a stripper now, but movement is out the picture. And then Sabrina even said that, like, yeah, he's saying all the right things, but I can't get caught up in that because people do that. And it almost seemed like I might have been his consolation prize because movement was over him. So at least she's thinking like I'm thinking. Because I'm like, well, so what you mean you ain't been reaching out to her? You ain't been calling her? But Sabrina has been saying it for a while. She even told Frank, like, I've reached out to so many men and nobody has called me back. So yeah. Next is Phil and Sydney. So remember they you know, just a new little thing. They on a date again. Just when I say the chemistry is there, if I could ship anybody, it would be them. I know she be talking about Frank real tough. I see that they like each other, but I really see her more so with Phil, to be honest. I just think it's brand new, where she knew of Frank and they knew some people of the same, you know, same kind of people. He probably always been crushing on her. I was just super excited to be a part of that. But anyway, they're out on a date. And basically Phil tells her, like, you know what? I know that you still have Frank. She's like, yes, I really like him. You know, we're building a strong connection, but I do really like you too. And basically Phil tells her, like, well, if you want to pursue this, I'm here. So I'm like, I really feel like her over Shyla. Like, he did like Shyla, but the connection is so natural and genuine. And he's talking about, he opened up to her about his mom passing away and how he regrets not having children while his mom could be there to, you know, see his children. All this stuff opens up to Sydney. She not pulling it out or anything else, because I think she said, I know you have a tough time with this and I'm not here to rush you. And then he just opens up like a floodgate. But now Shyla playing games with the love languages and all this stuff, and he really still never opens up to her, and he calls her kind of annoying with it. So I was like, yeah, that means he just really likes Sydney more, and he's probably just focusing his attention there than on Shyla. So yeah, they kiss, make out, you know. That was the end. Next up, we're at the gentleman's lounge. So we're already at the gentleman's lounge, and they discuss how Dante had the date and Zadia came up and was like touching him, and they asking Naeem, like, Naeem, how you feel about that? He was like, I really don't feel no way about it because that's not who she portrays around me. I'm like, oh, you just trying to save your one true connection. But basically they were trying to see who needs to be going home. Frank is like, this is not just a one-time thing. This keeps happening. She keeps being in the middle of a mess. So basically it was Dante and Frank who were doing most of the talking. None of the other guys was really chiming in too much, but they were listening. Walter brings up that he is feeling Sabrina, but she used to be a stripper. I didn't like that because she told you, Walter. She didn't tell these other men. Hell, they not even calling her back, so she has not even gotten deep with any of these people. That was not your place to tell them that she used to be a stripper. I know it was going to eventually get out, but that wasn't your place, and I didn't like it. I didn't like it one bit, and I hope she don't like it when she see it, too. Walter could have kept that to himself. He could have just said, she told me something, you know, that I'm not. Because I don't think Phil ever came back and told anybody anything about Aisha's problem with not conceiving children, but problem with carrying children, because it wasn't his place to tell. That was something she told him in confidence, which is what Sabrina did. Wasn't nobody else in that car. But anyway, he did that, but he still says, you know, he's trying not to be judgmental and all that situation. And okay, Dante, of course, said he was initially feeling Zadia. He tells what happened, but now he's more on Aisha. Naeem says, of course, he's feeling Zadia. Frank is feeling Sydney and Moomin, like we knew. They're kind of tired right now. They didn't move. Moomin didn't move her way up. And then Phil says he is feeling Shiloh and Sydney, but he's having deeper conversations. It's almost like him going out with Sydney is showing him something he didn't even know he wanted. Sound like Phil picked Sydney. But he keeps his options open. He's keeping his options open because Sydney has not picked him. She's still with Frank and him. Okay? Okay, so then they say, well, who are y'all not feeling? Dante says Zadia. He talked about the poking in the face. You know, so some people agreeing. Frank is agreeing with him. Naeem, like, you know, I still want her there. She started being specific in her, talking about people specifically. And so he was just defending her for no reason. Naeem said he's not feeling Sydney. He don't like her voice. It's annoying. Naeem, get a reason, sir. This ain't gonna help you plead your case and keep your girl around. Frank says he's not feeling Zadia and Shiloh. Walter says Moomin now because things have flipped. And then Phil says Moomin as well. Okay, so there at the bottom, there are some eliminations. And basically, Moomin and Walter go together and Zadia and Phil go together. So I'm like, okay, Moomin and Walter. Moomin comes in there like, you know what? I'm going to let him know that this is over. I choose Frank. I'm like, okay, she don't know this is an elimination. So she thinking it's a real date. They trying to, you know, suss out the situation. And then Zadia and Phil like, we all know that ain't no thing. So Zadia comes clean to death. She already knows it's going to be someday. She knows a deliberation. She probably already talked to Naeem. He probably already told her. She's super cute, girls. Leather, little whatever number she got on. Banging body, whatever. She look good. But she know that Phil there to talk to her about this. I feel like, let's get to the bottom of this. I heard about your situation with Dante. Tell me your side. What happened? So she get into it. She not really taking ownership. She's like, yeah, I gave him a mama talking to. He couldn't tell me. He wasn't man enough to tell me what was going on. I'm like, he told you he liked Aisha. He showed you he liked Aisha. She was really mad at Dante. And that's what she had brought up. Like, I go to deliberation and you didn't let me know. But I find out you out here planning massages and planning dinner in the kitchen. With her, basically, she was jealous. You weren't planning that with me. You like what you had, Naeem. You weren't planning that with me. You know, basically. So she telling Phil all this, and he wasn't man enough to do this, and basically kind of like blame as I say. She didn't say, you know what, I was outside of myself. I shouldn't have done that. She just was not taking ownership, and feel like, well, I'm gonna take that, play devil's advocate and all this stuff, and she basically was like, you can go ahead and say it. Y'all deliberated and y'all decided I'm not ready to look. He like, how you gonna tell me what I'm saying? She was like, I already know. Give me a hug. Let's go. She out. Moomin and Walter are talking, and Walter basically like, I'm on Sabrina anyway. Moomin talking about how she finna let him know about Frank, but he's like, we had a deliberation and people are saying the connections they have with you, they dwindling. So some people still don't have one. She's shocked. She didn't think she was in the bottom, but he does say, but because of the connection you still have with Frank, you are still here. And he was like, but I'm glad we had this talk because I didn't want us to be on bad terms, basically. But this was it. I wasn't here to talk to you about us. We over. Yeah, it was so interesting. So then Naeem meets with Tommy downtown by himself. And he's basically letting him know, like, I don't want to waste anybody's time. I was here for Zadia. That's the only connection I really had. She's gone now, so I'm going to go too. Now, he didn't pull the Camille in because he wasn't the one that eliminated her. So on the Camille Cornelius date, they talked about it. That was the first part of this date. And she said she was going to go home right away. He finds out Zadia is eliminated. He tells him he wants to be eliminated too. But he didn't say, I'm going to be with Zadia. He just said, you know, I'm about to leave. So I don't know if they're together or not. I haven't seen any pictures that they posted together like Camille and Cornelius, which it seems like they were still together. And so on this episode, guys, we lost 4 people, 2 guys and 2 girls. I'm like, let's get to the bottom of this. Let's make this thing happen. I can say I really like Dante and Aisha's connections together, and I like Sydney and Phil's connection, if I'm going to be honest. That's it. What y'all think? Put it down in the comments. Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share my videos. I hope you guys have a happy Merry Christmas. This is Christmas week. This will come out on one of my Vlogmas days. So you guys will be seeing it shortly. So until next time, see ya.